Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna Owsley. I am a senior from Cincinnati, Ohio, studying media and culture and interactive media studies. So last year of fall, my junior year, I got to study abroad in Spain for a semester. Um, and so I was there for about 3 or 4 months, and I studied media and journalism while I was over there. So yeah, we added some of these pictures from our trips, and this is just some of the pictures from Spain. And then these are some of my excursions outside of Spain. I went to Morocco, France, and like Italy. So yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Athena Williams. I briefly studied abroad last spring semester before, the global pandemic. And I was in Israel in a northern city called Haifa for about a month. So these are some pictures that we added from there. I went through the USAC third-party program provider with Miami. And these are just some pictures of the Baha'i Gardens inside of a few different churches, and a couple pictures of Jerusalem as well as the Mediterranean.
Hi, my name is Divine. Um, Divine Anderson. I'm a senior at Miami University studying psychology and international studies with a minor in Spanish. I went abroad briefly, like Athena, in the spring to Montevideo, Uruguay. I also went with USAC. Some pictures I have are from inside of the city of Montevideo, but also from Punta del Este, which were resort spots inside of Uruguay. I have pictures with my roommates, and also at the bottom I have pictures with the group of girls that I went with. All the students were female. We had one guy named Wolfgang, but he wasn't here for the photo. Um, and yeah, more pictures of the city. That's the Rio de la Plata, which pretty much surrounded the entire city of Montevideo. It's not an ocean, it's actually a very large river that separates Montevideo from Buenos Aires. And at the top is food and just some more pictures with friends from the trip.
So did you guys want to get started with?
So I know you two mentioned you did the same program. Did you want to like explain what that program was, or like why did you pick that?
Um, so we went through the same third-party provider, but USAC's programs are actually pretty different depending on what the countries are. So basically, like, the mechanism of getting us to study abroad was a similar process. It was a Miami approved program, so I was able to use all of my Miami scholarships, and because I went during the semester instead of going during J term or summer term, so all of my Miami scholarships and grants were able to apply to my trip. Um, the USAC program for me, I went through the University of Haifa, which it was basically just like an international school. So I was an international student instead of being like fully integrated, I guess, into the university. And there were a few other Americans who went about like 10 or so through the same program as I did. But the international school had people from all over the world. So.
Yeah, same as Athena just said, I went through USAC in the Montevideo program, and I went through the ORT University, which was a private university in Montevideo. My group, we were the only international students there in that building for the program, but it was a private university, so there were many other international students as well. I went during the spring semester, so like Athena, I was able to use my grants and scholarships to be able to afford the program in Montevideo, Uruguay.
Yeah, same. I went through fall semester, so I also got to use my aid, which was a lot cheaper. I went through CIEE, and so that was more of like a global exchange. I picked that one because it had my major in the place that I wanted to go to. So That's the reason I picked mine. But
Yeah, my major is definitely a factor, and Divine is also an international studies major, so she can definitely attest to this. But for us, study abroad is mandatory for graduation. So all ITS majors eventually study abroad at some point. But in addition to that, I mean, the university just offered a lot of really cool classes and things that were really relevant to what I was studying. Um, so that's why I went. I think sometimes people think that studying abroad is a bit inaccessible to people who aren't, very particular niche, kind of like international studies is considered. But really anyone can. There were classes, you could take master's classes as an undergrad in psychology at the University of Haifa through the international school. So there's just like different opportunities like that. So if you are a STEM student or pre-med, there are programs for you, and there are classes for you at these universities. Like, not to joke about it, but really, like, it's kind of it's a bit much to think that only American schools have your programs. Like, people all around the world are learning chemistry and learning engineering. So it's not like you can only get this type of education in the United States. So I would definitely, you know, recommend that people who aren't in these typical majors to still consider studying abroad, because it could definitely work for you in your major too.
Do you want to kind of just start and give our experience with our program and in our country?
yeah, go ahead, girl.
Okay, right, I'll start. Um, so I went to Montevideo, Uruguay this spring, and it really was an amazing experience. I was the only Miami student to go, but I found a lot of really awesome people, a lot of which stemmed from different universities across the US. In Montevideo, I did a homestay, meaning that I stayed with a family. I stayed with a woman named Anna, and she became like, that was my girl. I loved Anna. In the picture at the top, I'm actually with my roommate, Isabel. I included that kind of just to show you guys, that with the homestay, you have like a host mom or host family, then you also have roommates. So then like she became my first friend and we did everything together. Uruguay is in South America. It's right next to Argentina and it's kind of smushed in between Brazil and Chile. And it is, they call it the Switzerland of South America, simply because it is a developed nation inside of South America, which is full of developing nations. So it was, in a sense, very European, which I was not expecting, especially being in South America. But after taking anthropology class, we learned that, well, all the native people either migrated to Paraguay or they were killed. So pretty much they are actually all European, stemming from Italian and French descent. With that being said, the people were really nice. They were awesome. I went because I went to finish my Spanish minor and to fulfill my study abroad for my international studies major. The Spanish in Uruguay was different. Here we learn like Mexican Spanish. Uruguay Spanish was kind of like Spanish in cursive a little bit. It was really hard to understand at first, but living with my host mom, it made it a little bit easier because I was able to understand her accent, and then more so when I went into the streets with people, it was a lot easier. Montevideo was the city of Uruguay, and like that's it at the bottom, and it was surrounded by that water, which actually is a river. It was very like lots of skyscrapers, lots of tall buildings. It was a really, really awesome city. I included the food at the top because when you're in a homestay, you are provided breakfast and dinner by your host family. So every morning we would get breakfast, and then every night Anna would make us dinner, and the table would be set like that. Everything on the table for us. The food was all right. I wouldn't say they're really known for their cuisine, but Anna made it work. And she was very interested in understanding what we like to eat. And then based off of that, she really made those improvements. And I included the picture on the side because I was in Uruguay for my birthday, my 21st birthday. And I was kind of sad to be apart from all my friends, but the group that I was in, they actually threw me a surprise party. And that's me with some of them on a rooftop. So I just included that to kind of show that, like, it's a really awesome experience, and you're going to meet so many different people that you might not have ever run across without this experience. And those are still some people I talk to a lot today, and I still even talk to Mama Anna. I talked to her like yesterday. So yeah, that was my experience in Uruguay.
Divine, how are your experiences intersected with your identity as a Black woman?
You know, that was something that I went to Uruguay, thinking, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. Simply because it wasn't South America. So, but I would have to say that I had an awesome experience being like having my identity as a Black woman. For some instances, I would say that, really worked for me. Like, they were really awesome people, and they were really interested in learning more about, like, they're European, so they don't really have much diversity in Uruguay. So they were so accepting of it. And in a sense, I felt like more safe, more accepted, more like, I don't know, I just felt better in Uruguay than I would say I even feel in the US. Like, when I was there, everyone on the street, everyone would compliment you. I had braids. They're like, oh girl, I love the braids. They were just like really nice people, awesome people. I had a great experience, and my identity didn't necessarily get involved. It wasn't more so a race thing that came into question. It was more so a nationality thing. When we went out, it wasn't more so because we were Black, I was Black, or because they were white. It was because we were American. That was the only thing that sometimes works against you in different countries, just because they have these they already have things that they believe about American people. So sometimes you'll run into people not necessarily liking American people. But on a race perspective, I had a great time.
Brianna, do you want to go next? Okay, I can go. So like I said, I was in Israel, and I chose a really controversial country. I mean, it's probably the most controversial country in the world behind like North Korea. So there were a lot of different experiences kind of converging at once while I was there. I definitely did a lot of research into the cultures of the area, the people, and the history and background. So that was definitely a factor as well in choosing my program. As far as experiences while I was there, I can definitely relate to Divine in a few ways, because I felt like people did treat me better after finding out I was American. But we do differ a little bit here in our experiences because I wasn't automatically treated well. So Israel has a large Ethiopian population, and as well as a large African migrant population in general. So it's not like they're not used to there being, people of my skin tone around. But it was pretty common for me to like just be generally ignored, especially when compared to my friends who I was traveling with, or when we would like go on mini trips or tours or things like that. It would kind of just be like, they'd really like want to rush in, my white friends and call them over to the shop or try to give them free stuff. And then when they would realize that I'm American and I speak English and I'm with them too, then they would be nice to me. But before I would open my mouth to say anything, for them to know that I'm American and special in some sort of way, I was definitely basically like ignored or just given like the side eye by a lot of people. So that was kind of a bit of my experience. Obviously, it's a lot of different like cultural things coming together. So it's not uncommon for people to just kind of like shout at you from the street, especially if you're in like a market or something. Like, people are gonna yell at you while you're walking by and try to get you to come over. So there is that, but I definitely could see, and my peers noticed it as well, which I was really grateful that they were even in tune with the difference in the way that I was being treated versus how they were being treated. But it was kind of something we all noticed that was a bit different between, you know, those of us who were white American and the European students who were with us, versus myself and the two other Black people who were on my study abroad trip.
Okay, so I guess I'll share a little bit of my experience. I also stayed in a homestay, which was so great. I would highly recommend staying in a homestay. I stayed with 4 people. It was a mom and a dad, and they had 2 kids. So the house was never quiet. I'm an only child, so like I'm super used to having like quiet time, like alone time. So it was like, it's really cool though. I miss them all the time. So of course, like I would get meals 3 times a day. She would do my laundry if I needed, like cleaning, and like obviously had my own room. So that was really cool. And they only spoke Spanish. So I got to practice my Spanish at dinner time and anytime during the day. So that was like a huge thing that influenced my whole experience. I had class Monday through Thursday. Friday, we didn't have class. I did do an internship. So I would do that like Monday, Wednesday. But other than that, it was just class and then just hanging out with other study abroad friends. Within my program, I would say that there was probably like 2 Black students, including me, in my program. And so we like would talk a lot and discuss about our experiences as Black females, and just like, because she had locks, I had braids, so we would often get stared at, or like maybe someone would come up and like try to touch her hair. So that was something that definitely was uncomfortable about my experience there, but I've gotten that here too. So so yeah. What else? I'm trying to think. I would say that they were really accepting. I think, especially in Spain, it's very culturally accepted to like give 2 kisses on the cheek when you're meeting someone new, and like be very like affectionate and just very friendly. So they were really nice and friendly. And they were just really chill. Like they get to take naps during the day. That was something completely new. Like we wouldn't have class from like 2 to 4. We would be sent home to like take a nap and stuff like that. So culturally, it was really different than America. But I wouldn't say I experienced that much culture shock because it was Europe. It was still pretty Americanized. But yeah.
Is there anything that either one of you guys wish you had known before you studied abroad or while you were there? I can start. I have something for sure. So I was unaware of the difference, I guess, in travel restrictions between my country and most of the other study abroad programs. So again, and this could just be because I went to Israel, but there were a lot of countries we were not allowed to go to, and that were pretty explicitly stated by our program and by like kind of the coordinators with our visas. So, you know, you kind of look on, when people talk about studying abroad, they are always taking pictures. I went to 5 different countries last weekend, but that's not a possibility for everyone. And especially for those of you who might be interested in going somewhere that's not in Europe, you know, countries are a lot bigger. So it's going to be a lot harder for you to just hop on a plane and go somewhere for cheap, super quick on the weekend. So that was something I didn't know much about. And then the other thing, this is gonna sound odd, but like public transportation. I wish I knew more about their like busing system. One, how well it is, because America has nothing on Israel's infrastructure. Because like I could go from literally, I lived in the most northern big city in the country to the very bottom where like Jerusalem is, and even down further to the Negev desert in like the southern area. I could get there in like 2.5 hours for like $20. So traveling was crazy easy. But it took a while for me to adjust to the public transportation system and how to get on buses because, you know, I study Arabic, I don't study Hebrew. So everything was in Hebrew. And, you know, sometimes things would be in English that would help me out. But that was another thing also, be like, if I was a little bit more cognizant of how many different languages there were happening at, in the country at once. They make a big point about like, oh, almost everybody in this country speaks English. So you don't really consider just because they speak English doesn't mean that that's going to be what's on signs and all that stuff. So that was something I wish I had known, could have planned better for that. And then also just like spending money. Like you never want to be it sucks to be the one person who can't go out tonight, or who when you're at the restaurant, like, I think I'll just like skip dessert, you know. So planning for any extra expenses, because while you're there, a lot of things are going to seem like, you know, super cool for the first time, and you're going to want to take things home for your parents and for yourself and for your friends. So keeping those expenses in mind, I went to the ATM like a lot while I was there. So keep that in mind before you go.
Like Athena actually just did ATM, and it made me think that something that I wish that I knew or that I did was bring more like credit cards. I only brought one debit card with me because I ordered a credit and it didn't come. So I just showed up with my one debit card, and by like the second week I was there, the chip stopped working. So I didn't have like any means of like money, but like I was happy. Thankfully, my dad had packed me like cash. So I was able to use that for a little bit, but it was like I had to go to the Western Union for my parents to wire me money. So I would definitely make sure that you have enough means of, you know, money, whether that's credit or debit cards, or bringing enough like cash. But yeah, that's definitely something that I wish that I did, because it was rough. Not being able, I was that person like, I'll Venmo you, or it just wasn't a good feeling. So I would definitely make sure you have enough credits or cash or anything like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. Especially budgeting, because you really don't know like what's going to happen if you're just kind of going with the flow with things. So I definitely recommend that. But for me, I would say one thing, I guess preparing to go to study abroad, like all of the different like little prices that keep adding up, like passport, visa, application, physicals. Like I didn't know how much a visa costs. I didn't know how much passports cost, and like all those other things you need. So that was definitely something that had me even more stressed out when I was preparing to go. So I would definitely say like Google all of that before you kind of budget out how much you need for aid, because you actually might need way more than you think.
Yeah, speaking of aid, did you guys finance your trips in any helpful ways that maybe people who are concerned about paying for study abroad could take some advice from?
I would say like go to, what's it, Macmillan, and meet with your abroad advisor, because I went there and I wasn't like Uruguay for USAC. USAC's programs weren't as expensive as SIE. Like those programs are more expensive than USAC programs. So for me, financing the trip wasn't necessarily a huge issue or cost, but just by going to the meeting with my abroad advisor, he was able to tell me about like things like the parent fund and all these different minority what was it, the Havinghurst minority scholarship, like these different scholarships that you can just apply for simply by like doing your application. Like you do the application and say, do you want to apply for this? Just say yeah, because like you never know, because like I didn't think that I was going to get any money, and I ended up getting like, I don't know, a couple $1,000s from those different funds, to the point where I was able to not take out my loans for that semester, because I was able to finance the study abroad. So I didn't have to take out any loans for that semester. So I would definitely just say, like ask questions, like don't be shy, like go in and say like, is there some way I can get this, 500 here, 200 here, it adds up. And let's say you don't need it to necessarily finance your trip. Now that's pocket money that you have when you're abroad. And you can use that to spend on excursions or to buy souvenirs or just do anything that you want.
Yeah, and speaking of excursions, I know someone asked in the chat, like excursions, like what does that mean? I know Divine kind of explained it, but yeah, so I mean, for my program, they offered kind of like free or like already paid for trips, like on the weekend, for students to go on like throughout the country. If you guys went on any excursions, if you want to explain more.
Yeah, so my favorite part of my trip, okay. So Israel has a lot of different minority populations and ethnic groups. So this slide right here, we got to spend the night in the Negev desert in southern Israel. So we went hiking throughout the day. There's a canyon called Mitzpe Ramon, and it's like basically the Grand Canyon of the Middle East. It's huge. So we went hiking all day, and then we went to stay the night with the Bedouin tribe. They are a nomadic people. They still live nomadically in Israel and some other Middle Eastern countries in the region. And they primarily live in like the desert areas or the outskirts of cities. And they basically they live in tents in the desert. They herd camels. And some of them work in the city in the odd jobs and things like that, but they're mostly nomadic. So we stayed with them. So like in the bottom left-hand corner, those were some of the camels that they had at their camp. And then we ate a traditional Bedouin meal where they cooked us a whole roasted chicken and some homemade pita and some homemade hummus, and we ate good. And we slept in tents for the night in the desert. So that's the type of programs. I know USAC has a lot of like sanctioned programs with theirs, and I'm sure CIE has something probably a little bit similar. But when you're signing up for your program, you can usually see some of the things that are like tentatively planned. We would even do tours of different cities. So I went to Jerusalem twice while I was in Israel, and it was part of my program fee, so it was already paid for. So we just took a bus down there, and I got to see the Stations of the Cross and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is on Mount Calvary, where Christ was said to be crucified, which is that picture in the bottom right-hand corner. Saw the Western Wall, and you can see the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the background with that golden dome, which we weren't allowed into for a lot of reasons. But so yeah, there's just a lot of different things that could be inherently into your program that are another things to consider, because a lot of those places I already wanted to go to, and it was even better that it was already pre-planned and paid for ahead of time. I didn't have to, Google it out and figure out how I'm going to go from one place to the other budget. Like it was already a part of my package. So that's kind of excursions. Every program's going to be different. But if you are looking for some things that are like all inclusive, definitely look for that when you're choosing your program.
Yeah, and like a lot of the excursions, like when you choose a program, like on their webpage or wherever you find it, you usually can find like what the excursions will be and like what they will cost. Yeah, like that's all I wanted to add. A lot of times you can see like what's in store for you before you actually go. And then you can make a decision like that. I chose Uruguay because one of the excursions was our spring break. We were going to go to Argentina. And I already wanted to go to Argentina, but now it was going to be paid through USAC, and they were going to buy like our hotel and all that. So I'm like, $300 now is worth less than like I don't know how much I would actually spend, just because I don't know how to plan like that. So yeah, lots of stuff you can find online and then make your decision there. But guys, Sydney asked us, is there any cultural thing or something different that was hard for us to adjust to?
I got one. I got two. One was just a lot different, and one was an adjustment. So there is a sort of hyper security culture in Israel. It's everywhere you go, and it's kind of you can't miss it. So I remember the first time from getting dropped off at the airport, we took a taxi up to the university. My university was on the top of Mount Carmel, so we had to go up the hill, right? And there's like 5 sets of huge gates, and there's like guards standing out there. And I was like, are we in the right place? Because the guards, they were carrying machine guns. And I was like, what's going on? What are we doing here? And it was just that's just how things are run. So even just getting into the university, you have to go through checks. Our buses, when they would stop at the bus stop on campus, a guard will come through with an AK-47 and check the bus and walk through and come back out. When you're going to the mall, you're going to have to, give them your purse and your book bag, and they're going to check it for bombs, and they might pat you down if they think you're suspicious. So it was just a lot more of a heavy security presence than I was used to. Generally maybe there'll be like a cop or two somewhere, but there were like soldiers with automatic rifles on a lot of different corners, and especially in the tourist places like Jerusalem has a ton of soldiers who are just stationed there all the time. So that was something that took an adjustment period. After a while, you don't stop seeing them, but they kind of stop being such an alert kind of thing. And you just kind of get used to being around it. Something that was a shock, but that wasn't hard to get used to because I really liked it, was the Sabbath for Israel, the resting day, being on Saturday. And so like on Shabbat, everybody knows you got to get your groceries before, sundown on Friday, because you're not going to be able to catch a bus. So it's a lot more of like a real like shutdown for rest. So a lot of public transportation doesn't run Friday nights through Saturday night, and a lot of restaurants are closed. But it was really like refreshing because everyone took a break at that point, and no one expected you to like be working overtime on Shabbat or anything like that. A lot of people, like my professors and things like that, you don't text them, you don't email them, because no one's going to answer your call. So it was like a really like nice way of relaxing that I think was really different from American culture, because we like kind of say Sunday is supposed to be that day, but nothing really stops on Sundays. So it was nice every week to know that there would just be a moment where like we could hit pause and we would, take walks or go to the beach or something really chill. So yeah, that's kind of my tidbit.
Mine were like pretty minor. I wouldn't say like they were like things that took a while for like that really took me back, but they were, at first it's kind of like, oh, okay. Something was that like in Uruguay, like they stare a lot, like, and they'll just look at you and you look right back at them and they're still looking at you. So that was something that took me a while to get used to, but not really, because well, like my family's from Jamaica and that's how they are there too, but I just wasn't expecting it in Uruguay. Something else, on the buses, I take the bus a lot of times because like Brie, I had an internship that was like an hour away from the city. And something with the buses that I got shunned for a couple of times was that like I didn't realize that like there was this whole, I don't know the word for it, but like if there were older women that hopped on the bus, like you automatically had to hop up and give them like your seat. So like sometimes like my friend and I, we wouldn't know, we'd just like be on the bus talking, like there would be a lady with like a bag and she would just like stare at us like on the bus, like, are you gonna get up? And I'm like, oh, excuse me, like, sorry, girl. So that was something else too. Spanish, for the most part, was probably the hardest thing, just because they had an accent, like a sh accent. Like, for example, like there's a word for street in Spanish that's calle, and they would say caixa. So I would be like, I would be taken aback so many times, and not understanding that was probably my hardest like obstacle, because sometimes I would really get in my head. Like I went there thinking, oh, like I'm really good at Spanish, and then like 2 hours off the plane, I'm like, I don't understand anything that anybody is saying, and like that really messed with my self-esteem. I'm like, you know what, it's time to pack it up. And lastly, like the Uruguayans are like the young people. They went out really, really late. So that was something to get used to, because we would want to go out on weekends. Like, we're getting ready. We're going out, like stepping out like at 10. And then nothing was open. And then we met more Uruguayans and they're like, yeah, where are you going at 10 o'clock? Like 10 o'clock, they're taking naps to go out like at 3 a.m. Like that's when the clubs would open, like at 3 a.m. Like, so that took a while because, like, 3 a.m. I'm ready to come back home. They would go out like at 2, come home at 7. So that was kind of how that went. Those were probably the things that took me a while to get used to. But
Yeah, I would agree with the language thing. Where I was, they spoke so fast and with like a lisp. Because in high school, I learned Mexican Spanish, not Spain Spanish. So that was a whole other thing. They love smoking cigarettes in Spain, like everywhere. It would be on the bus, in the classroom, in the restaurants. Like they would just open up a cigarette and just start sparking it. I'm like, that was completely different. What else? I would just say like how chill they were. Like Sundays, everything was closed. Like grocery stores were closed. Everything was just down. Um, yeah, we had siestas every day. Like everything was closed from like 2 to 4. You had to like go home, eat lunch, take a nap. Like it was like nothing was open. But other than that, it wasn't really that hard to adjust. It was pretty Americanized, I feel like. So, but Peter asked a question. He said, did your hosts or other nationals want to engage you about American politics, racial issues? How did you handle it, and what tips do you have?
I would say yes. They wanted to talk about American politics almost anytime they heard you speak and heard that you had an American accent. My host mom, she would always have the news on, and on the news, there goes Donald Trump. And anytime he would come on, she would just look back at me. And it was kind of hard because I had 2 other roommates, but I was the only person that spoke Spanish. So anytime she wanted to talk politics, she would turn to me. And I would always have to engage with her about it. More so, she would come. A lot of the Uruguayans would not necessarily come from, America's bad or Donald Trump is this, but more so they would ask you, like, what do you think about it? And like want to have more intel conversations about it. Mama Anna, she would always ask me about Donald Trump and all that simply because she, like, of my like race and being Black. So she would always ask me, like, how do I feel like when I'm there? Like, how did this, things like that. I would say like I handled it like fine, just because I knew the place that Mama Anna was coming from. So I would always be willing to engage with her about it, because then she would also like bring me into Uruguayan politics, so it would kind of be like an exchange. It'd be kind of fun. The only time it got kind of out of hand was when it came to like younger people who would just be like, oh, Donald Trump, and you're like in the clubs like, oh, okay, whatever, we didn't come here for that tonight. So that was kind of annoying, but they would calm down a little bit too. But yeah, that was my take.
I also got similar questions. The only thing people ever wanted to know about was Trump, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. What you see on the news is what you get. But one thing that one of my advisors kind of suggested to me before I was even going was that, when you're studying abroad, you're kind of like an ambassador for the country in a way. Not necessarily like where you have to have completely neutral positions, but sometimes you'll be the only interaction that people have with Americans. And so I really didn't spend my time trying to talk about politics. When they would bring it up, it would be kind of something that I would like kind of laugh off and then talk about something else. Because really at the end of the day, most of the time people had already made up their mind about whatever they wanted to say, and they would just give you a speech about how they feel about America. And then that would kind of be it. Like they didn't really seem to want to actually talk to me about any of those things. When it comes to racial issues, it would be kind of awkward because people would I don't know, people would say things like, oh, well, you Americans, like, you guys are pretty racist, huh? And it'd be like, what? I'm not racist. I don't do anything. So those are kind of like those awkward, like kind of tension cultural moments. I would say definitely more so with like smaller groups of friends, we would have a bit more deep conversations. Although people like randomly, like in the market or something, would ask me about Trump if they would notice I was American. But generally, if it was like students, like I joined the church on campus, and sometimes we would just talk afterward, and there were students from all over the world, and we would just talk about what was happening in our home countries. So those conversations do come up sometimes. I think they're important to have. I think, you know, especially with a lot of my European roommates in the international school, they really just didn't know the extent of anything and kind of assume everything's an exaggeration. But when they hear it from you, they're like, oh, this is actually real. Like, this isn't just, you know, dramatized. So yeah, it's definitely something, a conversation that if you feel comfortable with having, you should have. But I would recommend that you have them in those one-on-one scenarios, and like not in a big group or in a really dramatic, overblown way. You know, kind of like heart to heart kind of thing, if that helps.
What are the major differences between learning here and there? So I guess like classroom vibes.
I would say I actually liked learning over in Montevideo a lot more than I did here. More so because I went there and most of my classes were in Spanish. So I just feel like I got a better experience with Spanish classes than I did like I ever do at Miami. I feel like at Miami, you know, people are in classes because they have to be, you know, they don't really speak any Spanish, but they're here because they want a minor. So you don't really have that interaction and like that back and forth. And a lot of the times it's hand fed to us versus when we were there, all of my classes were completely in Spanish. You had something to say in Spanish, you had to ask it. And then if you were wrong or your Spanish was incorrect, like they would act like they didn't understand what you meant, or they would correct you. And it was kind of like very, for the first time, I felt like I was actually being challenged with the learning of the Spanish language than I have ever felt at Miami. So I actually would say I liked it better there. And it was more free. I mean, you walk to school, and then on the way, like you would leave for lunches, you can go like to restaurants, come back, you can just chill outside or like on the patio areas. Yeah, the classrooms were pretty much the same, you know, the chairs, the desk, the whiteboard. But yeah, I would say I liked studying over there a little bit better.
Yeah, I would also say mine was pretty chill. I think one thing that all of my professors kind of emphasized, which was really surprising to all of us when we first got there, like the first week of class, they were like, you know, we already know that you guys are dedicated and that you're interested and passionate about these different areas, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have put the effort in to travel halfway across the world to be here. And they like really just put an emphasis on like, they were not super concerned with our grades or getting answers correct. Like, we really just spent a lot of our time having discussions and talking through things. And it was even better because it was I was in the international schools. So, you know, while there were a lot of Americans, there were also a lot of people from Germany and Austria and Japan. And, you know, the issues that we were talking about were cultural, historical, political. So it was really cool to have all those different perspectives, but to also not have the pressure of your grade looming over your head always. And for your professors to already like have that like confidence in you that they know that you want to learn and you're passionate. So they weren't super hard or aggressive when it came to turning in assignments or anything. Our professors were just incredibly chill. So this semester has been a definite adjustment for me, coming from that environment where they were really just focused on learning and getting to know each other. Whereas now I feel like I'm just trying to keep up with assignments. So yeah, that's one difference in the classroom for Israel, at least, that I experienced.
Yeah, I would agree. I absolutely loved having people from like Germany and like France in my classes. It was just super cool to like hear their perspectives. But I feel like for me personally, classes were chill, but like a little too chill. I think that's one of the regrets I have was taking my classes in English. So it was like, it was taught by Spaniards, but it was like broken English. And I think I wish I would have pushed myself a little bit more to take them in Spanish. They felt a little bit outdated, especially for my major. And so class was definitely not like a huge motivator. But I did enjoy having like the freedom during and between classes and like walking to class in the beautiful city. But other than that, I would definitely recommend taking it in that language if you do take classes there, and take a few fun classes. Like, don't take specifically only for your major. I took a photography class. That was really, really fun. But yeah.
Okay. Peter has asked us if you could travel again to study somewhere else different, where would you choose to go and why? Okay, I have an idea on this. Okay, so I study Arabic. Um, Number one, and this kind of goes back to choosing your study abroad program, especially if you're taking a language, because you're going to be limited by your language. Um, but on top of that, there's only so many countries that even have Americans studying abroad in them, um, and even less countries that Miami sanctions for us to go. So for me, if I'm taking this question within like the realm of possibility, there's only like 3 countries I'm allowed to go to. So I would have chosen Jordan. That was my first choice for a long time. And the program was through CIE, like the one that Brianna went through, but it was considerably more expensive than the Israeli program. Um, so that's another thing, like my cost for me was like one of my driving factors in how I chose my program. But if I could go again, I would definitely go to Jordan. I would love to see Petra. And when it comes to the language component, instead of like being immersed in Arabic, I was immersed in Hebrew, and I didn't pick up that much Hebrew, actually, which was not great. But I wasn't able to be immersed in the language I was studying. I only really got that if I was in the market talking to someone, or like maybe on the bus and somebody just started talking to me, or in my Arabic classes. So yeah, that definitely would have been a country I would have liked to have seen. And if I was allowed to go from Israel to Jordan, I would have done that, but we were not allowed to do that either. So yeah.
That's a good question, Peter. I'm actually stumped. I'm not sure. I don't really know. I think that, Uruguay for me was kind of like, that was my loop, like country right there. Like I would have never thought to go to Uruguay, and that's exactly why I picked it. I went about picking my program kind of like, where would I like not travel like by myself? I'm kind of like, I was thinking Spain, but I'm like, I know my aunt lives in London. I was supposed to be in Spain this summer. So I'm like, well, that's already checked off. Am I ever going to purchase a ticket to go to Montevideo to Uruguay? No. So let's just go now. So trying to think, where would I not purchase a ticket to just go? But nothing's coming to me right now.
I also have no idea. I would love to say like somewhere in Africa, but I don't know. Like, because I only got to go to Morocco. I would love to go to like other places in Africa. So maybe somewhere, I mean, Africa's so big. I don't even know. If I had to travel, maybe not to study abroad, but travel again, probably Morocco. I just loved the culture there. It was really, really nice and just insanely beautiful. And the people were just so nice. But study abroad, I have no idea. I don't know. I would have to learn like an entirely new language. That would be really hard. That's a good question.
Brianna, you could be like me and not know the language that most of the people are speaking, and just hope that they know
I
English.
have to know at least 5 phrases.
There you go. I do 5 phrases. The thing with Israel is like everybody speaks like 4 different languages. So like, if they didn't speak Hebrew, we literally would go down the list like like English, Hebrew, no Arabic. Okay, got you. Or in all of our groups, we would travel with people, like at least one of us spoke some good Hebrew, at least one of us spoke good Arabic, and then that's how we kind of made things work. So it's possible.
Ugh, I miss travel so much.
One thing that I forgot to mention on the
Any other
cultural thing.
questions? Go ahead, Athena.
There's one point on the cultural thing that I didn't mention. So like there's like not the strongest concept of personal space in Israel. And I was real nervous about that when I first got there because I didn't know. Like we learned about this in our orientation program after we started classes, but like the adjustment period between was rough, because like when I got off the plane and trying to get on the train, like to take it like 2 hours up north, there's literally people like on my back at the ATM, and I was like, I'm gonna get robbed. Like, I just got here, and something bad's gonna happen already. Because people like, they was like, no, like, what are lines? And I didn't know that. So I'm sitting here with my suitcase, like just landed. My flight was like 13 hours long, and it's late at night, and there's like a man on me. And then I was looking to see if anybody else saw this, like, can someone help? But it was like happening all over. So that was something to get used to. The concept of personal space is not the same in every country, and it's not they're not being rude or anything like that. It's just getting where you fit in.
Anything? Any other questions? Any burning questions? Like, just go for it.
How long do you guys prepare to study abroad? Like, when did you guys start kind of figuring out, okay, this is when I want to go, this is when I'm going to apply for stuff?
I would say I don't know if this is true for you, Divine, but like when I declared my major for ITS, that was kind of it. Like, I knew I was going to have to study abroad. So I came in as international studies major knowing that I had to study abroad at some point. And I kind of mapped it out from there. Even further, I high-key chose my school. Like, I chose Miami to apply for, partially because of the reputation with study abroad. A lot of the schools that I ended up applying for, during high school were because of that. And I knew that that was something I was wanting to do. So yeah, I started planning pretty early. Like I said, I had wanted to go to Jordan until I saw the price tag for Jordan. But I would say at least give yourself like at least a semester and a half to plan. I didn't do anything too crazy ahead of time. It was mostly just like some simple, like, fun places to go in Israel, or like best places for this in this country. So it's really light stuff. Like you mentioned earlier, Brianna, I wish I had known about all the little tidbits involved in documentation and forms and approvals that you have to get filled out before you can go. So, that could be something that you could plan for way in advance, just to get those things put together. But yeah, I would say at least a semester and a half for you to know.
All right, so we got a question. Would people get offended if you said no to something? So how do you politely say no? Okay, like from my personal experience, I don't think they were, okay, well, everyone, okay, how do I word this? I think that, people do get offended, but I don't know if it depends on like the intent that people, or the place that people know that it's coming from. Like, for example, with Mama Anna, like, sometimes like in the beginning, like the meals that she would prepare, like sometimes I did feel like I was kind of on like a Jenny Craig diet. I wasn't really sure how to go about that, but so sometimes I wouldn't necessarily eat, or I was kind of a picky eater. And then, Anna would kind of be like, you're not eating, or like, oh, you're this, or but she was never really upset. And then she would kind of just be like, well, how can I make sure you're eating? And then like we went about that, and then she changed the menu. But I would say that like just be honest. I think that's like the politest way to say no. Because like I would say no to Anna, like, oh, like, like, what would I say? Like, she would call me like a skinny legend or something, because like, you don't ever eat. So like anytime I would eat, I would say that. Versus I had a roommate who was just like, if negative was a person, it was her. Like, she would just push her plate forward and like put her knife down or put her fork down. Like, that is the impolite way to say no to something. Politely, you could just say like, or like, oh, I'm full, or, you know, like I'm not that hungry. Yeah, but just don't push plates forward and like throw utensils. That's impolite. That's impolite.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely had like food food experiences with my host family. She would cook a lot of creative things. She would cook like a lot of creative things. A lot of American food because I wasn't her first student, so she had students before me. So she would cook a lot of like burgers and pizza and stuff. And I would kind of like not really understand why she would cook that. But it came to the point where she was kind of noticing I wasn't really eating much of her food. And I also was kind of like, well, like I really would rather eat this stuff or whatever, whatever. Or even just like buying your own groceries and asking if you can maybe fix your own meals or fix a snack for yourself is a private way or a polite way to say no. I guess people like on the street handing you stuff, just like no thank you and like whatever language it is, that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I have like a two-pronged thing to this. So so one, more so to the last thing Brianna said, like, okay, if some dude's catcalling me while I'm just minding my business, walking through a city, I'm just gonna say no and keep walking. So that's one thing. I mean, that's true for women anywhere in the world. So that's probably a skill you probably already possess. Um, so that's one thing. And then of course, like when you're in the market, people do just continuously want to get your attention and want to get you to come into their shop, and they'll say something that's probably not true. Like they'll give you a bunch of stuff for free, or this will be discounted if you just come in for a few seconds and talk to me, kind of thing. So that's just kind of getting like used to, you know, being in a large city. Really, that could happen anywhere. Um, the second thing, for Middle Eastern culture, like you can say no, but like we're gonna go back and forth saying no for like 5 minutes and then politely walk away, kind of thing. So it just depends on like the culture. Even like saying hello and like just starting a conversation with someone, like you'll sit there and go back and forth asking how are you? I'm doing great. How are you? I'm doing great. Oh, how are the kids? They're doing great. How's your family? They're doing great. How was class? Like it's like these long back and forth kind of. So just adjust to like the culture and be aware of that. But yeah, I would definitely say firm no's are easier to do to strangers than they are to people that you are around a lot. But definitely try to find like the confidence to just say no. It's a lot easier to just say no than to like sit there suffering silently on your study abroad trip for no reason, because you're there to like enjoy yourself and to learn. You don't want to be in a continuously uncomfortable situation just because you don't want things to be awkward. And most of the time, the people around you don't want to even make you feel uncomfortable or awkward. So when they find out that something makes you feel a certain type of way, like they want to remedy it. So yeah, I would definitely say don't be like the silent martyr for no reason. Like be firm, say no, and you can move on from there.
Peter asked, how has your experience changed how you view yourself? I guess I would say my experience changed how I envision like budgeting and like things that I want to do with my money, because Spain was the first time I was ever out of the country before. So now that I feel like going there, you just feel like your problems are just a little bit smaller, or just you see how other people live and how other cultures may not have what you have back at home, or what they do have that you don't have. So kind of just putting your perspectives in different.
I would say it definitely made me change my opinion on what like I think a full life is and what a full life would look for me. I think that before, you know, international travel was just something that like people do for vacation, or that they just do like if they can't afford it. But you know, after going abroad and being there and interacting with just so many different people from so many different backgrounds, it just, now I know that there's no way I can, you know, be satisfied just traveling around the United States with other Americans. Like I feel like in order for me to really like be happy and to understand the world and to really see it, I have to travel and do that internationally. So that's something that's definitely changed. I think in a similar note to what Brianna said, like perspective, seeing myself in relation to things that are happening like in the world and globally. Like, as I'm sure you guys all know, there's an ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. And that was something that I wasn't negatively affected because I was under the protection of being an American citizen at Israel University. And that was a different type of privilege that I had never had in the United States. And, you know, just knowing how differently I was being treated in certain places than to other people, or noticing like everywhere we went, all of our servers were like almost always Arab. All the people working like at the train station were almost always Arab. And it was just something I noticed, but like my white peers didn't notice. And, you know, it's seeing that like global connection between different groups. Like I'm not Palestinian, I'm not Arab. But there are some things that I was able to notice that other people just kind of didn't see at all. And it's being able to not center yourself in those issues, but to like understand your relation to them and understand the privilege that you have. Even though I'm a Black woman, I'm a Black American woman at the end of the day, and my American like identity gives me a vast amount of privilege in some places over others. So that was something that was put into perspective for me like in real time, and I hope that it's changed me for the better. I'd like to think it changed me for the better. So
it changed, like my change like was more like on a personal level. Like I kind of feel as if though like throughout college you have different experiences, so you're constantly growing as a person. And like I'm always like in my own head making sure like my growth is going the way I want it to be, to make sure that I'm leaving the right impact. And so I would say that like traveling abroad made me realize that like, you know, the person that I'm becoming is the person that I want to be. Like just seeing the way in which I fostered that relationship with Anna versus like my other two roommates who didn't have a good relationship, or me being able to kind of get along with everyone in the group. And, you know, just at an internship and like they really liked me, or I was always like constantly upping myself and things where I didn't think I was going to have time, and made time and made it happen. So for me, studying abroad made me realize that, you know what, you know, keep doing what you're doing, girl. Like you're going places, you're going somewhere. So it was very like comforting, like self-comforting, and it made me realize that, you know what, the path that I'm on it's looking all right. I'm like, yeah.
Alrighty, thank you guys. That was really informative. Do you have any last words you want to share with students before we end it here?
I would just say, you know, I would hope that you make study abroad a part of your experience at Miami. I think that studying abroad it can offer you so much. It could tell you a lot about yourself, and like Athena and Brianna also said, it's important to get out and see the world, like a different world than the one that you know. That could help you in any, no matter what major you're in. That type of experience could definitely be beneficial.
yeah, I would also add that like, you know, studying abroad in college is probably the hands down easiest and cheapest way for you to see the world for an extended period of time. Like, I don't know when else in my life, besides probably when I retire, I'm going to be able to spend a month in another country. And I was supposed to be there for 4 months. So it's like, if you go for a semester, you know, you're spending this huge amount of time in immersed in another culture. And that's just an opportunity that's not afforded often in life, period. So if it's something that you think you might be interested in, you should just do it, because, you know, the cost of traveling outside of the university is crazy expensive. And, you know, you might be lucky to get a one-off chance to vacation somewhere, but it's definitely not the same as living there and being with the people. Yeah, and even just adding on to what Divine said, like, it's for everyone, and it should be for everyone, and you should make it for you. Obviously, you don't want to force anything, but at the same time, I think that the merits of studying abroad far outweigh any of the fears that you might have, or any of the obstacles you think might come with studying abroad, like finances and things like that. Like, I think we all mentioned how, for at least, it seems like for me and Divine, at the very least, I don't know about you, Brianna, but it was cheaper for me to study abroad than it was for me to go to Miami for the semester. So, like, just consider that as a starting point. Like, you might be saving yourself money by going somewhere. So definitely take advantage of the opportunity. It was a once in a lifetime experience, and probably one of the best experiences I've had during my time at Miami. So I encourage anyone and everyone who even has an iota of hope of going abroad to do it.